Ever since CM Punk's return to AEW 3 weeks ago on the premiere of Collision, the former AEW World Champion has been carrying around a red bag or red backpack everywhere he goes, whether he's in the ring to cut a promo, whether he's backstage, again, to cut a promo, or whatever. Pretty much every single time we've seen CM Punk on screen since his return, he's had that red bag with him. And taking into account the words that he spoke in his promo once he returned at Collision, it's safe to assume that that red bag or red backpack contains the old version of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Because in fact, at All Out last year, before the media scrum, before all the controversy surrounding the Elite and CM Punk, Punk beat Jon Moxley to become AEW World's Heavyweight Champion once again. So based on that, and based on his promo during his return, CM Punk is now arguing that he is still AEW World Heavyweight Champion. As a matter of fact, in that promo, he called out the current AEW World Champion, MJF, basically saying that he, CM Punk, beat MJF in that widely recognized dog collar match. And yes, that's a fact. CM Punk did win that match, and ultimately, CM Punk did win that feud. But that feud, that rivalry, that program, it wasn't for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. The current world champion is MJF, and he beat Jon Moxley at Full Gear last year to be World's Heavyweight Champion. So the question needs to be asked, does CM Punk deserve a World Championship match as a character on TV? This is just story-based. And based on precedents set by AEW itself, yes, he does. Because the moment Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks made their return to AEW, the very first thing that they got was a World Trios Championship opportunity. The same titles that they were stripped of. They got their championship opportunity once again once they came back. That was the very first program they were inserted to. So just based on that, CM Punk does deserve a World Championship match. But here's the thing. CM Punk is not an uncrowned World Champion. CM Punk was stripped of the title after All Out. Doesn't matter which way you cut it. You can't pick and choose. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, they weren't the uncrowned World Trios Champions. They were stripped of the titles, they got their opportunities, and then they won the titles back. Okay, the same thing here goes with CM Punk. He got stripped of the title because of what happened after All Out. Does he deserve a rematch character-wise? Yes. Is he going to get it? I don't know. I simply don't know because, again, I don't think, and I'm not sure it would be in the best interest for Tony Khan and AEW to cut this current MJF and Adam Cole program off right when it's just starting to get good. They've got a perfectly good program that can lead them into the main event of All In between MJF and Adam Cole for the world title right now going on AEW TV. And CM Punk, well, he's either going to have to wait and see who walks out of that world title program, world title match as world champion and maybe call his shot there, or he's just throwing out stuff that nobody's paying attention to. Again, character-wise, storyline-wise, because I don't think MJF is going to pay attention to CM Punk's claim that he is still the world champion. Now, all things considered, if you ask me, should they sacrifice the current program to give CM Punk his world title opportunity? Hell no. Of course not. Did you see Dynamite last night? This entire dynamic between Adam Cole and MJF is working, and it's working to a T to get at least myself interested. And I'm sure many, many more AEW fans interested in an actual world title match between those two men. And again, I'm going back to my personal thoughts about how CM Punk handled his business. We're talking about a guy who in his return promo apologized to the fans for being fans of people who, in his terms, were softer than he was, or softer than they were. And again, I'm paraphrasing here. He mentioned the word soft. When the fact of the matter is, almost a year ago at All Out, not only did CM Punk main event that pay-per-view, but he also beat Jon Moxley to become AEW World Champion. And the only thing he wanted to talk about on the media scrum was about Colt Cabana. Was about shots taken at him by the Elite. Was about how the media was trying to focus on MJF's return because that in fact was a big deal, and CM Punk, soft, took offense to that because he was the world champion. He just became world champion. Again, these are just my personal thoughts on how he handles his business. I've said it in the past here. Is CM Punk good for the wrestling business when it comes to drawing money, drawing viewers, drawing interest? Of course. All I'm going to say is, if I'm Tony Khan and if I'm part of the booking committee, I am keeping CM Punk as far away from that AEW World title as possible. Until at least the fans start actually vocally wanting CM Punk to be in world title contention, which at the moment, they don't. They don't. And one last thing. I'm going to say this to death, and I've been an AEW fan since its creation. But the whole argument that they have interim champions and interim championships, it's stupid, it's useless, it's futile, and it goes against everything wrestling fans bargain for. Wrestling fans hate it when a title reign is considered transitional, meaning days, weeks, 1 month. That's transitional. They hate it. Their whole argument is, what was the point? If you have an interim champion or interim championship reigns, it's the exact same thing because the interim champion isn't considered a legitimate champion until he beats the former champion who could no longer defend his title. Therefore, if the interim champion loses, if he or she held that title for 3, 4, 6 months, all of that time wasted, it didn't matter because the former world champion was injured. When all you could do was just do what has always been done in professional wrestling. If the world champion can't defend the title, if they can't compete, strip them of the championship, we crown a new champion, and eventually the former champion comes back, earns their way back to the title. It's a story as simple that it can be told any single time. And it saves you a lot of headaches. But other than that, what are your thoughts on CM Punk carrying around that bag with what we can only assume as the AEW World Championship? Do you think he deserves a title match against MJF in the very near future? Should they sacrifice the current program to insert CM Punk in there anytime soon? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comments section below. With that said, tune in later on tonight to Access TV for another episode of Impact Wrestling. I'm Alexis Carrillo, this has been Wrestling Talk, and I'll see you next time.